Okay, guys, we're back with another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. I'm Seth from the Lonely Solo Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about, has Martin bakole lost all of his aura? That's the question we're asking. And to be honest, he kind of has. You know, considering where Martin bakole was just 3-4 months ago, where he was widely regarded as the boogeyman of the heavyweight division. I'll be honest, I regarded him as the boogeyman of the heavyweight division as well, because he's so big, so powerful. It's a very unique style of punching, that is very hard to replicate in sparring, because the way he stands, the way he punches, he's being compared often to like an old George Foreman, where he really just stands over his punches and somehow is able to get so much leverage because he's such a strong guy. Get huge amounts of leverage in his punches, and they're big punches and they'll hurt guys and eventually could stop guys, right? That's how Martin bakole fights, or has been fighting, right? Then he fights Joseph Parker on short notice, gets stopped. He then fights ajagba, and this fight was a draw. Now, in my opinion, ajagba won this fight, but because ajagba won this fight because he won the early rounds in this fight, and throughout the early rounds he was pretty much outboxing bakole, showing bakole that he's the better athlete out of the two of them. However, ajagba did get tired towards the end of the fight, and I guess maybe this is the old time saying of muscle weighing more than fat, right? Because the later on in the fight, you would think the guy who looks like Martin bakole, who's more out of shape, would also get tired later on in the fight. This wasn't the case. Martin bakole was able to stay in the fight despite getting outboxed early in the fight. I was able to pick up some of the rounds later on and apply pressure and put ajagba against the ropes, like I said, and unload some shots. But that shouldn't have won Martin bakole the fight, and that doesn't make it even either. So it doesn't make it a draw. But Martin bakole's largely kind of just been exposed in these last two matches, right? Of course, getting stopped by Joseph Parker is not a good look, but it's heavyweight boxing, and I understand it. And Joseph Parker hasn't got pillow hands. Now, of course, he's not a monstrous puncher like a Daniel Dubois or, whoever, or Deontay Wilder, who's got knockout power in just one punch. He's not like that. But Joseph Parker's no small dude. Joseph Parker's all of 6'3". All of 6'3", a big dude, heavy dude. Like I would not want to get hit by Joseph Parker, right? And he's not regarded as a heavy puncher, but he stopped Martin bakole. And Martin bakole clearly, for this fight and the Joseph Parker fight, the ajagba fight and the Joseph Parker fight, he's not getting himself in great shape for these fights either. That's clear. I think Martin bakole weighed in at nearly 300 pounds for this fight. I get he's a big guy, but come on. To be fair to him, he went all 12 rounds. To be fair, to be that size and go all 12 rounds is no small feat. That's quite impressive, but still, you would think for a guy like him to be in peak, optimal physique, he wouldn't be at 300 pounds. And he'd probably get through that 12-round fight even easier. And to put the cherry on top, he might have even won that fight if he walked into that fight in better shape. I feel ajagba clearly is the better boxer out of the two, and clearly the more athletic. But maybe if Martin bakole was in better shape, he'd be able to do what he done to ajagba in the later rounds of the fight. Maybe he could have done that from the middle through to the late, and then that would have been enough to win him the fight. But no. But I mean, to go back to the main question, has Martin bakole lost all of his aura? The answer is yes, he has. Because he gained tons of aura when he was on his unbeaten run. I think he beat undefeated American heavyweight Jared Anderson via knockout. That was a huge win for him. I think he won that. I think that was a win. Yeah, because he has lost before. I ain't got his record in front of me, and I'm not doing all that research because this is the Seth Solo Side Quest. That's just how we do it around here. We do it live and direct. But yeah, Martin bakole's probably lost all of his aura now, and I'll be curious to know what's next for him in the heavyweight division. There's still some interesting fights there, but yeah, we'll see. That's another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.